Anthony and Amber share painful confessions. Welcome back to Ro Reacts TV, where I break down the drama, the laughs, and the life lessons from the Country Wayne skit universe. In this video, we will unpack the emotional wreckage left behind when infidelity cuts too deep. So this episode starts out, they are at the big house facing the pool. The therapist is there. Amber and Anthony are there. The therapist starts out saying, I'm so glad that we're going to be able to have another session because these sessions are really important in the healing of the relationship. She tells them she really wants to go deeper. She wants to see if they can express some of the pain and some of the trauma that they experienced after both of them cheated on each other. She says, Amber, I want to start with you because a lot of times men don't understand what a woman has felt or goes through unless it comes from a trauma space. Amber is sitting there rolling her eyes, taking deep breaths. She is annoyed. She's not here for it. Anthony is sitting across from her, matching energies. The therapist says, I'm glad you're here, but please tell Anthony how it felt when you saw your best friend and your husband in the bed together. She says he needs to hear it, so please be very open and frank with it. Anthony does not want to talk about that. He is looking at the therapist like, okay, now don't be starting no crap. And Amber is like, what? Is this where we going today? She starts by saying she felt like God didn't love her anymore. She says that she had made a lot of mistakes in life, and the Bible says he is faithful to forgive, but she felt like everything about forgiveness that she knew in that moment was fleeting. Then the therapist says, so how has that affected your mental health? She said, to see my husband in bed with my best friend, I knew that lust had taken over him. I thought that that's all it was. But to see him continuously love her, the therapist says, well, why do you think it's continuous? She said, Instagram, vacations, taking pictures with her. He's still living with her. And I try to be happy. I try to save face. I try to put on a big smile. I try to celebrate the money, this divorce, and maybe the possibility of staying in this big house. She said, but it's like a dark cloud that's over my head every day. And it's like a knife that he wedged in my chest. And he just keeps turning it and turning it. She says, I haven't been able to say this out loud or tell anyone because it makes me feel weak. It makes me feel like I look weak. The therapist tries to interject and asks Anthony, how does that make you feel hearing Amber say these things? And Amber puts her hands up and she says, some days, I don't even want to be here anymore because of Anthony. So now she looks at Anthony. She says, Anthony, I want you to take this time to express how you felt knowing that the woman that you loved was with Wayne the entire time up until the day of your wedding. Anthony is reliving it in his mind, and Amber is also feeling a little bit ashamed. Anthony says he felt like less of a man. He felt as if she took his manhood. He says, here I am trying to be a nice guy all my life, working my tail off, trying to be a provider. He says, every day I went to class, I did the right thing so that I can work my tail off and share this big house with someone one day. And then a person I finally find to share this beautiful life with runs to the arms of another man. She gave her body, her time, and her energy to another man. And I realized that no matter what I did, no matter what I bought her, No matter how many nice houses I put her in, she still wanted Wayne. Amber looks down. She looks over at Anthony. She says, Anthony, that's not true. Anthony says, you know how they say nice guys finish last? Well, I'm not even in the race. He said, and even after we moved past this and I forgave her, which I did, and I don't believe that, he said, I would lay in the bed and watch her sleep. I would want to make love to her, and I would think about Wayne and her. And I felt hustled. The therapist says, and why did you feel hustled? He says, because did she ever really love me? He says, and I know good and well that if Wayne said that he wanted her, she wouldn't have married me. I believe that. But Amber looks at him and says, Anthony, that's not true. The therapist says, that's his truth and that's what he feels. Thank you for sharing. The therapist turns to Amber and says, how do you feel hearing that? And Amber says, I didn't know that made him feel that way. And I'm sorry for that. So next the therapist says, I want to do an exercise with you guys. I want both of you guys to close your eyes and imagine a yacht. Can you see the yacht? They both say yes. She says, now open your eyes. And they look and they don't see anything. And she says, now we're talking about the power of thoughts. And in psychology, we all get around 7,000 thoughts a day. We can't choose what thoughts that come to our minds, but we can choose what thoughts we dwell on. And I love that she said this. She says, so if the yacht's not there, maybe there's some things that you're dwelling on in your head that you may not have to dwell on. She says, you're making a choice to dwell on the worst of what you had instead of the best of what you had. Amber says, looking back, you know what? I would have never dealt with Wayne. Anthony seemed too good to be true, and I didn't feel like I was worthy to be loved. I stayed in a place of trauma and bondage because that's what I knew. I didn't feel worthy of Anthony's love, and it made me do things that were damaging to our relationship. I would go back. I wouldn't deal with Wayne. I would know that he truly loves me, and I wouldn't damage my relationship the way that I did. Anthony says he would have stayed committed to his vows. He would have fought like hell to make sure that Amber felt worthy of his love. He says he would have bared the responsibility of her happiness. He says he would have loved her more. He would have encouraged her more and spoke more life into her. He says he would have communicated more, tell her what's on his mind, and not leave it up for her to guess. But ultimately, he would have let her know that she was a queen. The therapist says, this is good work. This is what I like to call healing dialogue. And you guys done it in the most courageous way, and I'm proud of you. You know, when you take your vows, it says till death do us part. It doesn't say till the side chick do us part, the side baby do us part, till an affair with my business partner does us part. Although she did sleep with him before they got married, but he found out afterwards. So I understand it. I don't think that they should go forward with this marriage because I honestly feel like they're always going to be upset, especially if Kai turns out to be Anthony's son and she has to deal with Shayla for the next 18, 20 years or what have you. I don't see this going, and then Amber's still in business with Wayne, as, Anthony is also, but I just don't see how they can come back from this. I feel like too much has been done. Amber, he's still sleeping with Shayla. He's still confessing his love to Shayla every day. And I don't know. Where is this going, you guys? Anthony would have to be cut out of the picture completely. And that ain't gonna happen. If the baby is Anthony, Shayla sees him as a lick, period. She wants Amber's life, and he can write her a check and shut her mouth up. Well, that's 3 episodes in this one review. I hope you guys are all caught up. Drop a comment, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next Rory Reacts TV episode.